Good morning, and thank you, Jennifer, the Executive Director of RIM, and let me just welcome you all to the city of Houston. I am told this is the first time the conference is being held in the city of Houston, so welcome, and I hope you had a good party last night. And I know it was very, very nice, so thank you for being here. I also want to acknowledge, welcome you to the fourth largest city. We have people from Chicago here this morning? Okay, I'll be nice. The fourth largest city, and as we say in time, the third largest. You know, with all due respect, in fact, we'll be tied with Chicago. Let's see how we won't pass them up so quickly. And then do we have anybody here from Boston? Okay, I'll be nice again. Let me go to my next page. Because you know the Astros are getting ready to play Boston on Saturday. And, you know, normally I would just wish, you know, all our guests the very, very best, you know. But Boston, I went to school up in Boston. You know, Boston's a great city. And, but the Astros, you know, but welcome, you know. Anybody from New York here? Okay, y'all need to be with us, Houston, you know, because they beat the Yankees, so we need to see eye to eye on this, you know. And it's all about renewable energy, you know. So thank you all for being here. I want to acknowledge NRG Reliant for being a co-sponsor. Reliant, NRG have stepped up always, and they are tremendous partners for the city of Houston. If you will, please join me in just acknowledging NRG Reliant. Thank you. I know oftentimes when people think about Houston, they immediately think about NASA, the Space Center, or you might think about the port, which is the largest port in the country in terms of foreign tonnage. But like you and like many others, likely probably think about oil and gas and energy. Energy capital of the world, the largest medical center in the world, and very proud of it. But I'm here today to tell you how Houston is also a capital of renewable energy and how things are changing in ways that will make renewable energy more important to Houston and cities across the planet than ever before. Houston has a long and strong history of sustainability and investing in renewable energy. And as the energy of the capital of the world, we recognize we have a huge responsibility to responsibly power our future just as we powered the past. And due to the political climate, deregulated energy market, and I served in the legislature for 27 years before becoming mayor of the city of Houston, and served on the committee that oversaw oil and gas and utilities for some 21 years there. Things have changed quite a bit in the state when it comes to renewable. Houston takes a different approach to gas house energy emission reductions than some other cities. In this city, we strive to show sustainability can be a financial benefit and incentive, and we aim to lead by example for other cities and businesses to follow. If a large southern industrial car-loving oil town like Houston can embrace renewable energy, quite frankly, any city can. Because in this city, people love their cars and their trucks, sometimes their horses, all of that in the city of Houston. It may seem like a challenge, but we are the city that sent, of course, the man to the moon, and Houston absolutely, we believe, can change the world. It may surprise you to learn that we are the largest municipal user of renewable energy in the United States, the largest, and the 8th largest overall. And at 92% renewable for fiscal year, which ended in June, we rely on probably about 12% on solar and 80% on wind. And when I've attended the U.S. Conference of Mayors and as the co-climate chair of climate mayors, and I've said to them, the city of Houston, the energy capital of the world, the largest medical center, #1 port in the city of Houston, but we're also the #1 municipality when it comes to the utilization of green energy, and we're very proud of that. and give a lot of credit to these two women right here for driving us and driving me in that direction. We were last year's winners of the EPA Green Power Leadership Award, and you will announce awards later today. And we were honored to receive this award in 2014 as well as 2008. And like many cities, policy making often comes down to dollars and cents. We are always looking for ways to do more with less, and that's what we deal with every single day. But for sustainability and the clean energy economy is working in the city of Houston. And we learned after Hurricane Harvey, quite frankly, when I came in as mayor, the city had faced 3 500-year storms. Memorial Day in 2015, Tax Day flood, April 17, 2016. I shall never forget that because I had only been the mayor for 4 months when that storm came. And then a year later, Harvey, more water falling on the city than on any North American city in the North American continent. So 3 500-year storms. And the reality is that the storms are coming with more frequency and greater intensity. And so after Hurricane Harvey, well, let me just back up. Prior to these storms, there were many Houston mayors who said, yes, we believe in climate change. We need to do something about it. But primarily, they were making those statements outside of the city of Houston, not here in the energy capital. But Harvey was a game changer for us because then the question was, how do we recover? Do we build back the way we were and hope that another storm doesn't come? Or do we build forward? And we've made the decision that we are going to build forward because we just can't build back when the storms keep coming and with greater frequency. Quite frankly, if you build back the way you were, you're providing funding for failure because you'll do it again and again and again. And so what I said to the Chief Recovery Officer, by the way, Chief Recovery Officer who just recently retired from Shell, and I asked him to lead the effort, and what I said to him is that I want us to be transformational in our approach. And I don't want us to build back, let's build forward. And sustainability and resiliency go hand in hand. And so we've got to change the paradigm. We've got to change the conversation. And we can be the energy capital of the world, but we have to recognize that the environment is being impacted by what we are all doing. And that's exactly what we are doing as we move forward. We are currently at 92% renewable, and as the market moves favorably in our direction, a key part of our long-term planning must be and will continue to be increasing our reliance on clean energy and reducing our carbon footprint. Our green fleet cuts back on fuel and maintenance. Our green power program provides long-term price stability and better air quality. A perfect example is the success of our solar power purchase agreement with NRG. 5 years ago, with the help of NRG, we commissioned a 30-megawatt solar farm in Alpine, Texas, and that's way up in the Panhandle. The PPA represents about 10% of the city's power consumption and includes buildings such as the Houston Zoo, the airport, another major building downtown, the wastewater treatment facilities across the city. Approved by council in 2015, by 2017, market forces had changed dramatically, creating the opportunity to add an additional 20 megawatts to the PPA. In exchange for purchasing the additional 20 megawatts, the overall contract price was reduced by 8%, resulting in an estimated $40 million savings over 20 years. Now, I'll be the first to admit that Houston hasn't always been the easiest place in the world to talk about green power, but Hurricane Harvey provided an opportunity for us to change the conversation for the better. And even though we are the #1 municipality in terms of green power, what I have said to the people of the city of Houston, we can do more, and we can lead by example. And if we can do it in this city, it can be done in any city And so the paradigm must change. On Memorial Day, it was bad. Tax Day, it was bad. Harvey was bad. And now we've got to be stronger, more resilient as we move forward. When 300,000 structures were damaged, 500,000 cars flooded, it's time to change. Recovering from Harvey has been a year of challenge, hardships, and transformation for Houston. And Harvey shook our community to the core. But people are embracing the new paradigm, and industry leaders are embracing the paradigm. But we've got to make sure that we continue to push the conversation forward. And not the conversation only, but it has to be demonstrated through our actions. And that's why, Jennifer, I'm glad that you all are here. I know you're going to San Diego next year. I'll see you here again 2 years from now. And I want to thank you for that commitment. As we say as my church, you claim those things that are not as though they are. But this would be a fine place to be. The silver lining is that Harvey has forced us to revisit and re-examine the way we live and be truly transformational in how we view Houston's future. After these 3 storms, we all know that we have to do things differently. And my heart goes out to the people in Florida. My heart goes out to the people in the Carolinas. And the reality is that these storms are going to continue to come. And we have to reverse course. And regardless of what the national politics may be, cities are having to step up. In August, we announced that Houston was the 101st city to join the 100 Resilient Cities Network. And in September, at Governor Brown's Global Climate Action Summit in San Francisco, we launched our first ever community climate action plan. And we're doing it in collaboration with industry. Because the reality is, joining the 100 Resilient Cities Network, that is being underfunded by Shell. The climate action plan that we are adopting and implementing, that is being underwritten by Centerpoint. So the city of Houston is one of those cities where we have to recognize that we have to work hand in hand. And as I've said to industry leaders in this city, you have employees and assets that need to be protected. And we have to recognize that things are happening with our climate. Sustainability and resiliency go hand in hand. And these plans will help Houston assess the current and future risks facing our city and take actions that will keep our city strong, resilient, and sustainable, regardless of what comes our way. The second game changer was the realization that Houston is not the only city grappling with climate change, sustainability, and resiliency. Cities across the nation are facing the same dilemma. He probably didn't know it at the time, but President Trump's withdrawal from the Paris Agreement in 2016 was a lightning rod that brought cities from across the country together to step up, fill the gap, and act on the climate. And as you may know, I'm proud to be co-chair of the Climate Mayors, a group of mayors from red states and blue states, big cities and small towns, all dedicated to working with and learning from each other as we tackle climate change and work to uphold the Paris Agreement. Prior to Trump's announcement, Climate Mayors, we only had 36 members. Today, we are at 407 and always looking for more. The catastrophic climate events of 2017 and 2018 have made it abundantly clear that with increasingly limited resources from the state and federal governments, cities are on their own when it comes to recovering efforts, resiliency planning, and climate adaptation. Cities are also the first and the last line of defense for citizens facing these events, and no mayor wants to let his city down. This is our legacy, and this is what keeps us up at night. The good news is that through Climate Mayors, cities can learn from each other, share experiences, best practices, and strategies. Following Harvey, Houston worked closely with New York, New Orleans, and LA, and relied upon their best practices and guidance in launching our resiliency and climate action plans. Now we are passing the buck and working with cities as close as Dallas and as far away as Honolulu on strategies for disaster recovery, resiliency, and climate planning. A perfect example of the power of collaboration is the Climate Mayor's Electric Vehicle Purchase Initiative, led by my colleague and friend, Mayor Co-Chair Mayor Garcetti of LA, to help cities purchase EVs together at buck prices. And I do want to give a lot of credit to Mayor Garcetti for his leadership on this effort. We lost nearly our entire EV fleet in Harvey, and we still are not able to use our main city garage. So I didn't think we would be able to purchase additional EVs through this co-op. But when our fleet director saw the prices we got through the RFI, he jumped at the chance to participate, and once the airports found out, they wanted to go all in. This kind of collaboration, working together, piece by piece, city by city, is how we will meet the Paris Agreement. And we recognize that if we do not get the sort of support and guidance from the top, then mayors have no choice but to lead from where we are. Another Climate Mayor's initiative you all may be interested in is our efforts to make renewable energy more affordable and accessible to cities across the U.S. Earlier this month, Climate Mayors advocated strongly against the proposed repeal of the Federal Clean Power Plan. But we recognize that this is a time when leadership is required. And needless to say, Texans should all be proud that our state is making incredible headway in terms of renewable industry. So things are changing. One thing that I do want to point out is that they go hand in hand. One of the initiatives that I've been pushing is called Complete Communities, communities that have been underserved and under-resourced for decades. I grew up in one of those communities. I was reared in one of those communities. And as mayor, I still have the fortune of living in the same community in which I was born and reared. But in many of these communities, we have land that has been contaminated, unused, sitting there in low-income communities, and it's been difficult to reimagine or to revitalize these communities. We have launched a Reinventing Cities program, challenging design teams to put solar on underused city properties, including a 300-acre former landfill in a community not too far from here called Sunnyside. It is a low-income community, and it has been under-resourced for decades. 300 acres sit right in the heart of this low-income community, sitting there, contaminated. A park is close by. If we can turn those 300 acres around, reinvent, redesign, and turn that space into useful, productive space, the entire community will benefit. And the hope is, by taking these 300 acres, turning it into a solar farm, redirecting some of that income back into this low-income community, adding to renewable energy, we not only benefit our climate, but we also change the community in which these individuals live. So when we talk about renewables, we have to be creative and innovative. And by benefiting one, we benefit all. And we lift up all communities in our city. That's where we are. And so I want to thank you for being in our city. I want to thank you for continuing this conversation, because this is a conversation that we need to have and that we must have in cities all across the country, in states all across this country. Things are happening in our climate. Let's be very clear, and I know I don't have to convince you, but the one thing that I have to try to prepare for every single year are these storms that keep coming. And no storm is the same. And just because you've dealt with one doesn't necessarily mean you are ably prepared for the other, because they all have their personality. But we can change things if we work in a unified fashion. And that's why in this city, the energy capital of the world, we have to have this conversation. And as the mayor of this city, we have to push the pace. And you have to be a little disruptive, even in the energy capital of the world, because we're not building a city for today. We're building a city for tomorrow. And the reality is, we are connected to Boston, to New York, to LA, to Philadelphia, to Atlanta, because the winds don't stop at the boundaries of the city of Houston or the state of Texas. And it doesn't matter whether you're blue or red. When the storms come, they don't bypass red states and hit the blue ones. And they don't bypass the affluent communities and hit the poor ones. What Harvey demonstrated is that when the storms come, I don't care how much you have or how little you have, you are going to be impacted. And this is a lesson that we all need to learn, and we need to recognize that we have to change our behavior and our actions, and that's where renewable energy step in. Thank you for leading the way in this conversation, and I believe firmly that the best days for our country, and quite frankly for the world, are in front of us and not behind us, regardless who may be at the helm. Thank you so very much.